Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. In these times that we're facing, there's so much that is happening in this world. The changes are happening so quickly, so fast, that our nervous systems itself can't keep up with what this change is. And it's so important that we're able to breathe properly, calm ourselves down, meditate, find that stillness, and especially find that time of stillness for yourself in order to process through all that is happening and all that is going on. This is the time when our devotion is so important. And what is that devotion? That devotion, that divine ocean, is that part of us that connects deeply into our own infinite consciousness. And our infinite consciousness is that which gives us a vastness of understanding of the world itself and how we as an individual work within that world. In our faith, Guru Nanak Dev Ji came to this world at the time of this darker age, just over 500 years ago, to spread a teaching of truth, to spread a teaching of peace, to spread a teaching of the acceptance of all people. He taught about equality, how every person is created the same under one God. He said, Ek Onkar, that there's one God, and that one God is the same God for everyone. So why should we then look at what is different about everybody and what is not right with everyone when we should really see what is the same? What is that understanding? And he taught that when we look through eyes of love into the heart of every soul, that we see that every soul that we see is a merge into our own soul. And that God doesn't live outside of us, but that God lives with us and lives inside of us. And this concept of equality, the concept of one God, of Ekankar, to understand the true understanding of Satanam, the vibration of the self within that truth, is what gives us the balance of life. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji understood what is the balance of living. The balance of living was that we should be not only just householders, and that was important, that we should live in this society, but also that we should have a connection to our own infinity, the infinity of the soul. And every human being, Guru Nanak Dev Ji taught, has that infinity, has that capacity to experience beyond a limitation of the self to see the vastness of all humanity, and that each of us could connect with that. And he said, here's how we connected with it. We connect through the vibration of the Nam, through vibrating God's name, through Vaheguru. That is what gives us the connection to connect into the ultimate source of all, which is the infinity of the entire universe, which exists within each and every one of us. This was the gift of what Guru Nanak Dev Ji shared with us. And that's achieved through Nam Simran, through the vibration of the Nam, through our devotion, through vibrating the word, the Shabad itself. The Shabad is that which is connecting us through the vibration of the word, through Shabad Guru, through the technology of the sound current which vibrates through Gurumukhi to the sound current of life. This sometimes we don't understand, that Gurumukhi itself is the vibration of the sound current of life. And as we vibrate that sound through us, that vibration of that sound goes deep. It helps us physically and heals us physically. Mentally, it helps to establish a mental pattern of understanding so that we can live an intuitive life, an open life, to understand what is happening in this life, and gives us the spiritual frequency of our connection to that which created this creation. So there's 3 basic steps in understanding the power of meditation, the power of establishing an intuitive mind, the power of Nam Simran, the power of Gurbani. It has those 3 stages for us. It has the physical stage through the vibration of the sound current. And as we meditate, as we do a Mumantar, the vibration of that through us and the breath that happens as we go into the breath routine, that breathing, which is the breath of life, which is the prana. And Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj in Gurbani talks about prani and says that we are prani. Prani means we are those people that live by the pran, by the breath energy, by that flow of energy. So as we meditate, as we vibrate, as we read Gurbani, we're activating that pran, that energy system of the body. That's why we are referred to in Gurbani as prani, those who live by the breath. And as the sound current is vibrating through us, it affects every one of our systems of our body. It helps our nervous system, our respiratory system, our digestive system, all those parts. That's why in Gurbani it says this is the healing medicine, that Gurbani is the healing medicine. And each rag that is in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, the rag of each Shabad, that rag, every rag, 60 major rags, all have an element of healing. They all have an element that helps us through listening to that sound current and that rhythm of that rag that helps us to heal. So physically is very, very important. We sometimes don't understand that. But physically it helps us. And the whole mental structure, the mind itself, if the mind is a wandering mind and we're going in a million directions and we can't find a center within ourselves, as we chant Vaheguru, 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 as we read Nitnem, as the Bani goes into us, what happens to the mind? The mind begins to become more open, into more self-realization and self-understanding, and gets rid of the stress and the tensions and the anxieties and the headaches that we have. You have to understand that that vibration of the Shabad, of that sound, as we vibrated, what happens to the mind, that mental structure of the brain itself shifts. And with 180 seconds, the mind shifts 180 degrees. That's the power of Gurbani. So that this mind of ours can stay stable. Otherwise, what happens? This mind wanders into so many different directions. And some of those directions serve us, and some of those directions don't serve us. Some help us to move forward in life, and other thoughts keep us from that. But the key of it is not to fall into that depression, and that's the error that we make. We feel stressed out, our bodies don't relate, our mind becomes confused, we become depressed, we become negative within ourselves. When we become negative about ourselves and negative everything that we see and negative of other people, what happens? That leads to a depression within us. Negativity and depression go together. When we get stuck into a negative mind, a negative self, we end up being depressed. And we lose the faculty of living, which is the joy of life. That's the faculty of living, is to have joy in this life and to feel the joy, the anand, the bliss of this life. Not to be in a depression, not to be in that negative self that leads to that downfall of us. Whenever we get stuck in the negative mind, we'll never go forward in life. And anybody who is stuck in their negative mind will never move 1 inch with you into your future life. They can't. So we have to keep that guard up so that we don't fall into negativity. How? Through Bhat, through Nam Simran, through Gurbani. Because that activates within us a mindset that brings us out of a negativity and brings us into a neutral state of understanding that leads to a positive state. The neutral state of mind is that mind that sits in the stillness. Satnam Vaheguru, Satnam Vaheguru, Satnam Vaheguru, sits in the stillness of the self and feels that neutrality of thought, and then can progress itself into a future thinking of what is to come, and guard us from falling into that negative trap. I say don't become depressed in life, become impressed with life. But what gives us that impression of life is when the mind itself is at ease, is calm, is not feeling that anxiety. And that's the trust that we put into God. We say, I trust God. I trust in my Guru. What does I trust in God, I trust in my Guru mean? It means that I don't have anxiety, that I'm the one that has to control everything, that everything will be fine, that Guru Sahib is looking after me, that God shall take care of me. That's the kirpa, that's the gift that we have, and I trust in that. And if I truly trust in that, then why should I become anxious? If I truly trust that my Guru is going to guide me to what I need and give to me what I need at the time that I need it and help me overcome any obstacle that I face, knowing that what will happen in my tomorrow will be great, then I trust in that. So why should I be anxious about that? Why should I have to worry about that? We say I trust in God, we say I trust in Guru, but what is the truth of that? If we trust, then we won't fall into negativity. If we trust, we won't fall into the doubt that creates the duality of self. And so much in Gurbani talks about duja, talks about the duality of living. And that duality is what sinks us in life. Because we say when there's duality, there is no totality of life. And we lose the totality of this living and the joy of life. Everything that we read through Gurbani tells us find the balance of life. Don't fall into doubt, don't fall into negativity, don't become depressed in life, but feel the vibration of the soul, the Atma. Atma has to feel that energy. That energy is brought to us through the recitation of the name, through Vaheguru Simran, through Pad, through Gurbani, through the recitation, through that sound current of that vibration, which helps to move the entire body system and adjust the mental thinking so that we can experience the light, the Jyot. That Jyot is experienced, that light is experienced, that's felt deep within us, and that carries us into our tomorrow. Jat mein Jyot, Jyot mein Jat. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that in Japji Sahib, that God's light is within us, and our light is within God. There's no separation between that Jyot, that light within us, and the Jyot of God. That it's connected, that we're connected. We're not disconnected from that. We say, I love Guru, but do we know that Guru also loves us? That's what essentially is saying, that God and Guru love us, and we love God and Guru. There's no separation between that. So that idea of understanding the trust, so that the balance of body, mind, and our spiritual growth. Guru Nanak Dev Ji taught about spiritual growth, how to grow as a spiritual being. Not necessarily religious per se, but as a spiritual being, Guru Nanak Dev Ji taught us how to grow. And each of the gurus who became that Guru Nanak grew into that spiritual understanding of how to live life and shared that with us, and that became Sangat. And through that Sangat came the history of what we have, that embodied itself from Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj into Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, to give us that foundation of understanding, to know who we are, see who we are, feel that within ourselves, understand it, grow within it, and have the strength and the courage to spread that message of peace to this world. That's the total understanding which is given to us, to live by that, to gather that deep within ourselves, and to create a future, a strong future, a future for our tomorrow, a future for our generations to follow, to hold on to be part of. That is the legacy that was left by our gurus. That's a legacy that Guru Nanak Dev Ji began, that we would have that anchor of life to hold to, that became Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, that became the anchor of this life. So that we wouldn't be in doubt, we wouldn't fall into negativity, we wouldn't fall into depression. We'd be prosperous in this life, happy in this life, and share that message of peace to the world. That is the essence of who we are. That is what Khalsa became. Khalsa became those beacons of light to share a message of peace to this world, that we would never be the aggressors, but that we would always protect the freedoms of all people, every person in this world, and protect the rights and the freedoms of everyone, and the freedom of choice that our gurus fought for. And Satsangaji, in today's day and age of what's happening, where rights are being taken away from us, where there's those who we can say so-called power in that power that want to take away those rights, that want to subjugate, not liberate. This is the difference. Today many want to subjugate. Today even many of the religious teachings are to subjugate people. Subjugate means to control people and to control the actions of people. Guru Nanak Dev Ji taught how to liberate each of us, that every human being is an individual, and every human being has a right of freedom, and every human being can be liberated, because God and we are not separated. God and me and God are one. That's the basic teaching of Sikhi, that God and me and God are one. Ekongkar. There's no separation of that. And that is today, especially our younger generations, our growing generations, want that message of truth. Guru Nanak came at a time as that messenger of that truth and brought this truth to the world. And the world needs to know about these teachings to help bring this world to peace, so that we can live a prosperous, happy life, to accept everyone for the choices that they make and not subjugate a person or degrade a person or judge somebody by how they look, what their color, what their gender, what their preferences, what their choices are. But to honor each person as a soul and to see the soul of each person and the light that lives into the heart of that soul. This is the essence of our teachings, to see the light that lives into the heart of every soul. We're not judging what that soul is. But we're also standing for human rights and standing against subjugation, standing against oppression by those who are twisted in this world. And many of these so-called leaders, they call themselves, are twisted people, very twisted. And yet these twisted people are running this world, twisted people. But maybe that's because this Kali Yuga, in this dark age, that has to be exposed. And we're going to see that more of that will become exposed until we truly understand that that fight of peace, that fight of freedom, that fight of the democracy of all people is the fight that the world shall take on. And those who still want to hold these ways, who hold on to this so-called power, using military force, using other forces, shall come to an end. Because humanity will not stand, and the times are shifting, the times are moving. It's in the whole arrangement of the planets. It's not just what we decide. The whole arrangements of the planet is moving towards bringing that age of openness, the age of enlightenment, the age where all people are respected. Just as Guru Nanak Dev Ji taught and that brought to this world this message. And we have to take it upon ourselves. My feeling is my mission is to spread these teachings to the world. I had to learn them in English to understand the essence of Gurbani and the teachings, to be able to convey them in a way that we could understand and bring them forward in the English language, as well as in Gurumukhi, as well as through Punjabi. So the world could understand it in a technical understanding, in a frequency of understanding. Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj is a science and technology of the entire understanding of the excellence of a human being. Any person, every single person has this opportunity in this life as a being, as a radiant being, as a soul, to achieve enlightenment, to achieve that understanding, to achieve a perfection within ourselves so that we can have a depth of devotion at the feet of that who created this creation. This is the simple understanding of these teachings I'm sharing with you today. The simple understanding of how these teachings work. And the requirement is that we trust it. We trust. We don't live in a duality, thinking we don't need these teachings or we're above these teachings, where these teachings are there to guide us, to help us every day. That is why we take that Hukamnama. Hukamnama means that random reading from Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, that every day we read, that guides us, that helps us, that keeps us on that path of understanding of how to live in our excellence and to overcome the obstacles that we face. There's not one of us that doesn't face obstacles. It's very true. Not one of us that don't face those challenges. Not one of us can say, I've never made a mistake in this life. But Guru says, understand it and move through it. Get past it. Don't hold on to it. Learn from it and grow. Life is a growing situation that we never stop growing. We never stop learning. We never stop advancing. Ever. Maybe into our last breath, and then after our last breath, there's still the thereafter and the hereafter that we go to, that we still evolve as that soul, as that Atma. So it never ends. So why should we feel that it has ended? That's what gets us into the rut of life. That's what gets us into the depression of life. That's what brings in fear inside of us. That's what creates those actions that don't serve us, but sabotage us. And that's why Guru talked about Panchchor, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ankar. To not fall into the addictions, to not fall into the doubts, not to fall into attachments, into the Maya, into the illusion of life. But to guard us from that, so that we could live an elevated life, a clarity within life, and a life of giving to others, of seva. Those are the three pillars. Seva, Simran, and Sangat. To help others, to share with each other, to be together as Sangat, as a holy congregation. And Simran, to meditate on God's name. So we're never separated from God. And that vibration is moving through us. We sit Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. We do Vaheguru Simran. So that vibration, Wah, 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 Guru, Wah, 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 Guru, Wah, 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 Guru, Wah, 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 Guru, Wah, 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 Wah. That wonder of life is the Guru that gives us the transformation that takes us out of our darkness, that leads us to our light, to the light. And as Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru vibrates within us, the whole body system, as I spoke earlier about the breathing and how it then contains this mind of ours, so it gives us that balance and gives us that experience of our own infinity, grows through us that divinity, so that we can feel the base of life. 3 aspects: dignity, divinity, and grace. This is what Khalsa stands for: divinity, dignity, and grace of life. To have that divinity, that strength, to have the dignity, I know who I am, and to have that grace of that humility, to give to others and to share with others. Those are the pillars that we build on, and those are the pillars that will help to change this world. But we have to become ambassadors of those pillars. We have to live them within our own lives. This is the duality that we all face. This is the duality that we face as a Sikh faith. As a nation of Khalsa, we face this duality. And it creates a division within us. We don't find that unity. And if there's no unity within us, then what do we have? We as a Khalsa Panth have to find the unity, not what is different, but find the unity to spread Guru's message. But that takes a lot of self-understanding, self-processing, self-healing, self-understanding. Has to merge with inside. That's why Guru gave us a daily practice to rise Amrit Vele, to rise before the sun rises, to meditate, to do pat, to contain ourselves in that time period of Amrit Vela, where things are quiet, where we can commune and our soul can commune that even much closer with that who created this, and we feel that heavenly grace that we have, and that carries us through our day. That's the concept. Amrit Vela Satchinavriya Vichar. Rise yourself in that Amrit Vela, in that time before the sun rises. Meditate, and all that karma goes. And we feel and experience the light of God, the Jyot of God, the light of the universe. And we feel it within ourselves. So that is what's going to carry us through and carry us into that tomorrow. We have to be prepared for that. We have to have that understanding within us, and we have to grow through that in order to make changes in this life. And I'm especially concerned for our younger generations who aren't getting this sense of these teachings, who aren't embracing these teachings, who then get caught into that illusion of life and the Maya of life and don't find themselves. And if we're not helping them, then what do we have for a future? Where is our future to go? That we have to understand. We have to embrace that and embrace our younger people and share the teachings, share the connection at the feet of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, so that they can feel what is the presence of Guru in their lives. Otherwise they lose it, and we see what's happening with so much of our youth today, that they don't have it. We're not, and that's our problem. We're not giving it to them. Sometimes as parents, we're not imbuing inside of them that trust, that belief, that faith, because we don't hold that trust and that faith at the feet of our Guru. So how do we expect our children to have it? They see what the difference is. They see when there's a duality. They say when we tell them to do something, but we don't do it ourselves. That's what we say, that concept, do as I say, not as I do. But our young people, I picked up on that in my youth growing up. Do as I say, not as I do. And they look at us and they say in their mind, if you're not doing it, why should I do it? So there's a lot that we have to bring forth, a lot that we have to understand, a lot that we have to embrace in this tomorrow, not to bring that sorrow to the tomorrow, but to bring a fullness and a richness. And that's what our Gurus have taught us. And that's what I've believed in these past almost 50 years, is the richness of these teachings. Even in the midst of my own problems, my own upsets, my own downfalls, my own sabotages, things that I've done that weren't right, all the ups and downs, all the pluses, and all the minuses never left the feet of my Guru, because I know that Guru guides me through to help correct me, to bring me to that place of understanding where I can live in the purity of my heart and soul and not get caught up into those 5 obstacles. Kam, Krodh, Lobha, Moha, Ahankar, lust, anger, greed, pride, and attachments. So I don't get caught into that. I have to watch myself because the mind takes us in many different directions and places. And that's why I say that Guru is our anchor, and that anchor is that which holds us firm so that we can move forward in life and live a full life and a rich life, a happy life, a prosperous life, a life of seva, a life of sangat, a life of simran. All those aspects that become part of us so that we live in the identity of that and not fall into a doubt. And not be controlled by that maya, that illusion, but understand the ebb and flow of this world and move through it, and to carry others with us. This is the whole key of what is Japji Sahib. The whole key of Japji Sahib Path is that we shall bring people with us. And at the end of Japji Sahib Path, Guru Nanak says, Jinni naam diyai game shakadga, nanakate mukha ujale kati shuddhina. That those who meditate, Jinni Namadhyaya, those who meditate, who vibrate the sound current deep within them, who carry that within them, become radiant within, become smiling and radiant, and many others get carried through with them. This is the essence of what is the teaching of Japji Sahib Path. To help us understand, and ends it by saying, here's the formula. This is the radiance that has been established through the vibration of Japji Sahib Path to bring us to that point that says, now, Jinni Namadhyaya, meditate, be smiling, be happy, be courageous, and carry other people, bring other people with you to experience their own infinity. So there's a basic science of understanding, a technology of understanding given to us so that we can bring that balance into this life and not fear life, but hold life in its resonance. And be part of that deeply within, to feel it, to experience it, to understand it, and to grow with it, to grow into our tomorrow, to find the peace of life. Because if I'm not living in the peace of my life, then I'm living in pieces in my life. I don't want to live in pieces. I want to live in peace. And find the depth of that peace deep within my heart, my soul, all these parts of me, so that I can understand the ebb and flow of life. So let us share that message to the world. Let us bring this sense of peace to this world. Peace begins with me. If I'm peaceful, then everything around me is peaceful. To understand that peace starts with me. When that peace exists within me and I feel peaceful within myself, then that essence of peace spreads. It always starts within ourselves. And through ourselves that peace will spread. What is one candle? One candle is lit for what purpose? To light another candle, to spread a simple message of peace and to help reach that peace. And if I can reach it deeper within myself and be part of that peaceful self within me and can help others feel that peace so they can establish that, and that spreads and that grows, and that's the movement of peace in this world. So that one day we can truly bring peace to this world for our future generations, so they can inherit a world of peace and prosperity, of kindness, of tolerance, of acceptance of everyone. That is the essence of Ekonkar. That's the essence of the teachings that were brought forward through Sikh Dharma that began with Guru Nanak Dev Ji, to spread that message of the oneness of all humanity and the oneness of everyone. We have to accept that truth, and that truth is universal. That is the true universal teaching that Guru Nanak Dev Ji brought, that each of our Gurus carried forward, and that is embodied in Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, this simple message of peace. Simple message of how a human being can become excellent in their own life and help others. And just as Guru holds on to us and takes us by the hand and guides us across, we can help be that guide for others to bring us across this world ocean to safety. And that call upon us, Satsangaji, is going to become stronger. As things are shifting, as things are being exposed, as those who are in power want to exert even more subjugation upon us, more pressure upon us, and want to put more restrictions upon us, even more than what we're seeing now, we have to be those who rise through that and carry others with us and give hope to this world. Very important. When I Amarchak, I understood that my purpose was to help bring people to happiness, to peace, and to defend the human rights of all humanity, regardless of my own personal self. That as Khalsa, it doesn't become a personal self, it becomes a universal self that is here to serve all humanity and to share the simple message of truth and the simple message of peace to this world. So let us become those ambassadors. As a Sikh, we don't proselytize. We're not looking, I want to convert somebody to my belief. We want to share and be ambassadors of a simple teaching of the understanding of the trueness of the self, and that every person can attain that truth within the self and follow their own dharma, their own path of righteousness, their own path of truth, to lead them to an experience of oneness, of Ekonkar. And our job is only to help guide a person to find that within themselves. And we grow out from that, as I embraced it, because I understood that these teachings were very powerful, and I wanted to integrate these teachings into my life. I wasn't searching and looking, I should find a new religion, I should change my religion. I was only searching, I should find those teachings that resonated deep within me, that shared with me my deep, deep commitment to peace in this world. And that's the commitment I made at 20 years old, now 50 years ago, over 50 years, where I made that commitment that I said that I would work the rest of my life for peace in this world. And I've never left that mission from the age of 20 in over 50 years. I've never left that mission. My message is the same today as it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I share the same message, to find and to share that message of peace to this world, to help bring this world to peace, and to end that subjugation of the human spirit. Those who are in power want to take away human spirit by enacting laws and hard lines and these kinds of things, to take away the spirit of a person. We are here to raise the spirits of all people. And that starts with me. I have to make sure that I remain raised in my spirit. And that's why I have my daily practice. That's why I rise on Madhvede. That's why I do Simran, I do Pat, and exercise my body, so that I can have a balance of that trinity of body, mind, and my spiritual growth, so that I can be strong in my output, have that grit to overcome my own personal difficulties, so that I can serve others and help to spread that message of peace. So let us become messengers of that message of peace to this world. Spread the teachings of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Help people learn to understand the power of a meditative mind, to find that balance, to create a better world for all people, where everyone is accepted, regardless of caste, of color, of creed, of gender, of faith, of religion, of belief, of preference, that every person is created equally from one God. And we have that understanding, that recognition of each other, and honor the sacredness of each other and the respect for each other, regardless of all those things. That we're all here to see each other in a clear way, with a clear mind and a clear acceptance, and not to subjugate, but to help liberate. And that is what Sikh Dharma is about. The key of Sikh Dharma is about the liberation of the human spirit and the human soul, so that everyone has that experience of that who created us, to live in that richness, in that fullness, to be looked after, to be taken care of, and not to have fears or doubts. So let us find that within ourselves, let us grow that within ourselves, and let us find that true happiness that comes through that devotion in this divine ocean that balances us mentally, physically, and spiritually. And my ardas, my prayer is a simple ardas, a simple prayer, that humanity wakes up to the call of peace, that humanity wakes up to the call of equality, that humanity wakes up to protect the freedoms and the human rights of every person, so that we can create a change in this world and usher in that age, which is that age coming, that age which is part of us, which is an age of a nurturing, a maternal age of nurturing, of helping, and of healing. So let our prayers be for that peace and for the future of humanity to be bright, beautiful, and abundant. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Please join Bhai Harinam Singh Khalsa every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific Time for our Gurbani Vichar program in English on Sherry Punjab Radio AM 600, which can be live streamed in your time zone at am600.ca.